Hello and welcome to Wally Bra, and in this video I want to show you how you're supposed to sharpen your smoothing plane. In this case, this smoothing plane, this Stanley Bailey smoothing plane, is one of the most common patterns of smoothing planes you're going to find. But the principle will be the same for pretty much all smoothing planes. Now, as a point of reference, this smoothing plane here, which is a rapier made in Gateshead in the UK, well, I've pimped this up. If you could pimp it up, or if I downgrade it. Anyway, I made it into a scrub plane. And what I mean by that, it has a radius to the plane iron. Bear with me, because this is relevant. Now, this plane iron here has a radius. It's sharpened to a round. And the reason for that is so the corners don't dig in. When you're trying to flatten boards that maybe you've done a glue up like this one, and you've got a lot of material to remove. And that will give you a bit of a scalloped finish as well. And sometimes, you know, it can look quite good. But think of this plane, the Stanley Bailey smoothing plane, as a lightweight scrub plane. And what I mean by that is the plane iron of your Stanley Bailey needs to be sharpened with a radius. A very, very slight radius, which we're going to do in this video. Anyway, while you're here, please boot the old like button because it helps the channel, you know. And maybe subscribe to the channel, a little bell icon, because you get one fuzzy feeling in your pocket every time I upload another video. So yes, we are going to be sharpening this plane iron. Now this has the original Stanley plane iron in here. I've already put the primary bevel on using my honing guide on a linen ship, basically a belt sander. And for me, it does the best job. It's flat, you know. Yeah. And we're going to be using this to also create our radius. You say, how is that possible? It is still possible because the radius we've got to create here is so minuscule. It's neither here nor there, really. You can still do it while it's still in the honing guide. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off by sharpening it, and then we're going to create our radius. And to do the sharpening process here today, we're going to be using my oil stones and finishing off with a waterstone, a natural waterstone. Now, if you are considering buying a natural waterstone, bear in mind that waterstones, natural ones, they can be hit and miss, because there could be like a rock in there or something, a bit of granite or something, even of iron or anything, you know, or whatever, in the actual natural stone. So you might get one, you go partway through the stone and there's a hole in it. You know, it's not very helpful. No. So that's where the fabricated, like the ceramic stones and what have you, are quite good, because you pretty much guarantee it's going to be the same all the way through the stone. Whereas this one is, as you can see, it's natural. It's have to be blobs on the bottom just so it sits flat. Blobs of mastic. Okay, Coke, if you want to call Coke. Anyway, we're going to be starting off with these Northern India oil stones. First, with the coarse, just to start that off, because I want to remove my grinds on here. Now, I don't actually put a micro bevel on. I've stopped doing it. I just go with my actual primary grind and work my way down. I found using this honing guide, there's pretty much no need. Because the thing is, you see, the reason why we put micro bevel on is to speed up the sharpening process. But if you start right and continue right, you'll always be at the right angle. You'll always have that edge. So to me, it just seems pointless. And I've been having good results. So I'm quite happy to continue the way that I am. Now, that's up to you, what you do, obviously. You know, I'm just sharing with you what I do. Whether it's the right way or not, whether other people are going to say to me, don't do it like that. You're going to do this, you're going to do that. Well, I'll tell you one thing. Having it in the honing guide for a start will pretty much guarantee that every time you go back to it, it'll have the same angle on it as it did the last time you sharpened it. It'll just be a little bit blunter. So every time you sharpen it, you'll be removing a little bit of that bevel at the same time as doing your, you know, creating an edge at the same time, you see. And that way, you won't find you have to go onto like a bench grind or something like that and having to do the old grinding and that primary bevel on, which is where a lot of people fail. They make a right old mess of it. That's another reason why these little honing guides that I make, which is literally just like a wedge. That's all it is. It's just a wedge with a couple of neodymium magnets, yeah, holding the plane iron on. So we're going to start off with the coarse, medium. Well, actually, they call it fine. All right, let's say call that fine. That's north for about 1,000 grit, and that went then down to this natural stone, which there's no telling what grit that is, but it's probably around 10,000 grit. About. That's the other thing about with natural water stones is that you can never guarantee. You can never guarantee what grit it is because it's natural, you see. Yeah. Maybe there's a machine that you can look at it and actually tell, I don't know, some sort of microscope and counts the grits or something. Like grits per inch or something, I don't know. And also we have a leather strop just to finish off. You can use one of these. I tend to use my hands. I strop my hand, which I'll show you about that, how to do that as well, because some people could cut themselves. Anyway, let's start off with this one here. And I've got the oil. In this case, I use engine oil mixed with a bit of white spirit. That's all I use. It's just a thin lubricant, which also keeps the stone clean. And now, from the actual point when I put that bevel on, over there on the linen shear, which is over there, to here, I haven't moved or touched this plane iron in the honing guide. So now, if I do this, it should be exactly the same angle. Now what I tend to do is I do a few strokes that way, then I'll flip the stone over. Flip her over, yeah, and do the other side, like you say. Throw some flour over it if you like and fine. Yeah, don't do that. No. Yeah, all right, yeah, let's carry on. So what we do is we just do backwards and forwards like so, or we can do the figure of 8 if you like, you know, and then flip it around again, and that way you'll wear the stone evenly. Now I've had people say to me, well, don't that just grind away on the back here? Well, this has been used on a belt sander. Now, with the linen shear, which is basically a big oversized belt sander, is a 6-inch wide one, I always used the old worn, I always put them on to the belt sander whenever I actually do this job. And the reason for that is it takes the sharp, it's not sharp, yet it's got more open grain, and it's still grinds the iron. Just make sure you've got some water nearby, so you keep dunking it in some water to make sure that you don't actually overheat the steel. You do just about more like so. Soak that oil up already. I keep your stone lubricated. Don't let it run dry. Figure of 8 if you like. And periodically just check that you've polished off. Nearly there already. Polished off the actual grinding that you've created on this edge. The one thing you could do if you want, you get a marker pen and put a few lines on here, and you can see where, how far you got. So a bit more on there. Move that out of the way so you can see. That's from the Mrs. Knickers, that is, you see. Yeah, put it over there. Oh, I've got 2 of them. Well, that's interesting. I didn't realise. They're not the Mrs. Knickers. I think there's no shirt. And probably mine. So figure of 8 or backwards and forwards, you like. You know, you just want to make sure you use as much of the stone as you possibly can, so you don't end up creating a dip in the stone or hollows at the ends. You know, nothing you can do with these boxes. I should have really done with these ones really. You can put a little block of wood on the end here. And by doing that, you can, as long as you keep it flush, you can almost come to the right over the end, and then use more of the stone. To be fair, these stones are blooming old. I've had these India oil stones, these are Norton Indias, for many, many years. And if you look after them, you know, you keep them in the box and have, because if you don't keep them in the box, they're going to end up all chipped and stuff. They'll outlast any water stone, you know, or diamond stone. Seriously. Although diamond stones are pretty durable, to be fair. Now, some people argue, I don't like all this oil over my tools. I tell you what I don't like over my tools, is water. I really do not like putting water on my tools. It goes against the grain, it does. And the reason for that is because, you know, metal rusts. It just seems stupid to me. You know, so if you are using water stones, make sure you keep everything really dry. I'm looking at this now. I'm getting there with it. We're getting there. Da, 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 da. I flip it around occasionally, you know. Now, you don't need 3 stones with a combination stone. These 2 stones are actually the same. It's just that one is the other way round. Fine side up. So, you can buy a Norton India stone, 8-inch one like this, 200mm, for around, oh, it's getting sharp already, for about €40. You know, probably cheaper in the United States, being they are American. They're American, they are, yeah. So, a bit dearer here in the EU, in France, but they're good, they last. They don't give you many grit options, so you always want to finish with something fine. Now, my suggestion would, if you want to keep the cost down, get yourself something like one of these Norton India stones. So you've got your coarse and you've got a fine, and get something that's really fine. And it could be in the form of a diamond stone. Even one of them cheap ones, you've got to keep the cost down. You know, we're not snob here. You know, as long as you do the job, there's no snobbery here. Thank you. I don't like snobbery. There's no need for it. It's part of the problem. You know, it's one of the causes of the problems in the world. Snobbery, greed. You know, it's a major issue. You know, I'm just very conscious that not everybody's got a shitload of money. I ain't got a load of money. You've got a support channel, there's Patreon, there's also membership, or super chats if you like. Or super thanks, whatever you call it. Keep the channel alive, you know. Let me funny, unless you got like, you get millions of views, you don't. Well, that's getting there already. You don't, you know, you don't earn much on these channels. That's a fallacy. So a few people earn all the money. It's kind of what happens in real life, isn't it? All those at the top, the Jeff Bezoses in the world, are the ones who are sucking the planet dry of cash. Someone suggested to me I should do a political channel, a woodworking political channel. maybe, one day. I don't know. I don't know how popular that'd be. Talking about what's going on in the world and sharpening my plane irons. I think I'd just get angry and cut myself or something stupid, and that'd be such a good idea. Yeah, politics is pretty messed up, isn't it? That's why I love woodworking. It's an escape from it all, so I like to keep it that way. You know what I mean? All right, okay, I've done the first stage, and I have actually already created a burr on it. I'm not worried about the burr at the moment. I'm just going to place that, put that to one side. Now, one of the things that I find quite funny is, you see these people online and what have you, giving you advice how to sharpen your tools, and they've got all these lovely waterstones, and they're brilliant things, don't get me wrong. And they've got the skills, you see, they've been doing it for a very long time. No one is going to pick up a plane iron and attack it onto an oil stone, a water stone, or even a diamond stone and get it right. All they'll do is create a mess. And all they'll do is put them off woodworking. I want it to be easy for you. I would suggest, if you don't want to make one like this, just get one of those cheap honing guides with a little roller wheel on the bottom, you know. But make sure that you create a little jig. I've got another video actually how to do that on this channel, where you actually set it. It makes it really easy to set it in the actual honing guide. It's just a piece of wood, a little bit of wood on it. As simple as that. Some people use a tape. I don't recommend that. You know, a measure how far it protracts past the honing guide. I don't recommend that. Just have a little block of wood with another little block of wood, set the right distance, and then you can repeat it every time. And that's the thing about sharpening. It's all about getting repeatable results, and that will save you work later. And also make it easy for you to get, you know, a good, or at least a very acceptable edge. You know, we need to make life easier. We need to be encouraging people into woodworking, don't we? So what I'm doing at the moment, I'm literally, because now it's getting pretty darn sharp now. So we've got that stage now. I've dropped my oil on the floor. So I've got that stage now where we need to create the radius. So I've created the sharp edge, but now we need to create the radius. And we do that by standing up, because I want to put a bit of weight on it. So, yeah, excuse me, Betty. Let's pick the oil up. Let's make sure we've got a lubricant tool. That we have. A bit more lubricant on there. Okay. How I'm going to do that while it's in the honing guide, I'm going to apply more pressure here and more pressure there. Okay. So when I come backwards and forwards, I'm going to be, or you know, I won't be going like that. I'm going to just go backwards and forwards in this case. And now I'm going to do a slight angle, and I'm going to do this side first. And you want to try and create a radius. You're not trying to create a flat there and a flat there. You want to create a radius. So all I'm going to do is apply more pressure at that point, on that side and that side, then bringing it over to the middle, then over to the side. You can't see what I'm doing, but I'm actually applying more pressure to my left hand, and then I relax and come into the middle again, then to my left hand, and then we repeat the process on the other side of the plane iron. More pressure on my right hand, then into the middle, then more onto the right, into the middle. And I keep doing that until I'm satisfied that I've created that very, very slight radius to the plane iron, and I mean slight. What we want when we put this all back together, we want to be able to see the shaving thicker in the middle than it is at the edges. That's what we want to see, and hopefully we will achieve that. If you haven't managed to achieve that, you just got to start again. Yeah, at this stage. Not from the beginning, but just to here, until you manage to get that very, very slight radius on that plane iron. I've got one hell of a burr on it now. But that's not a problem at this stage. We will be getting rid of that. All I'm interested in is creating that very, very slight radius. There she blows. So I'm looking at there. Another way of testing to see whether or not you've got that radius started is to find a piece of wood that you know is flat, and as you press it into the piece of wood and see whether or not you're making contact all the way along. I think we're almost there, so I'll do a little bit more on that side there, and then onto this side here. Remember, if it's a number 7, Stanley Bailey or other, like a joint or what have you, or a 4-plane, or even a number 5, although number 5 could be used as a smoother, which is slightly longer, about 14 inches, so slightly longer than the actual number 4. So you have to decide what kind of work you're going to be doing with it. Now, if you're truing up the edge of a board, you want your plane iron to be true. If you're actually flattening a board, you basically just don't want those corners digging in. You do that by creating this very, very shallow radius to suck into the stone. And I'm looking at this now, I'm looking from where it's been sharpened and flattened on the back before, and now I'm seeing a very, very slight, I mean really slight radius. It might be enough, it might not. I think it's there. Now, if it's grabbing your finger, like that, when you rub it across the actual, don't go that way, whatever you do, but if you're just allowing the plane iron to grab your skin, and what that'll do is you'll feel the burn, you'll notice, you've got a sharp edge all the way along. If it's not doing that, you know you've got some areas that you haven't sharpened yet. So next stage, we'll wipe that oil off there, because I don't want to be putting that onto my waterstone. So we'll push this to one side, and then we'll go over to the waterstone, which is this natural waterstone here, and we've got some water somewhere, which is somewhere. Where have I put it? Oh, it's over here. There we go. I have soaked this waterstone, so this is a natural waterstone. They can be hit and miss. This happens to be a nice one. That's very fine. Don't put any oil on your waterstones. No, don't be tempted to do that, because you will ruin them. Now I'm going to flip it around again, because waterstone being what it is, you can end up misshaping it. Oh, it's not gripping. Sticking. There's more water. I'm getting like a suction on the back of the block. Could do a clipping that in the vise and clamping that. I didn't put it in the vise because I want to on the next stage we'll be using the vise. So we're just, as you can see, it's got where it's black and grey there. That is obviously a sign that we're taking metal off. So, dirty looking water. And I'm doing exactly the same as I was doing with the smooth on the oilstone. Not smooth, the fine on the oilstone. I'll get my worms out in a minute. Right, like so. Now I dug in too hard on that side at that point and I scratched the stone, so be careful if you're using waterstones, because you don't want to scratch them. Okay, right, so I'll take it off there, go on to the fine oilstone to start with, and then we'll be going on to the waterstone again, but I don't want to do it, put this directly onto the waterstone to flatten the back. The reason for that is because this burr, I need to get rid of that burr first. And then we'll be going on to that one. Now we'll be using the what Rob Cosman calls the Charlesworth method. I'll not be funny. I've been using this method for like 20 odd years. My father showed me it years ago. So I'm just removing that burr and flattening the back of the iron. And what that done is now create the burr in the other direction. Which it has. Now we'll do this. Where is it? There you go. Before I put that on, I won't get rid of that burr before I put it back onto that, back on that waterstone. You haven't got to do it this way, but I'm going to just make sure I remove that burr before I put it onto the waterstone. Otherwise I'll damage it. Because the burr can be folded. It's like a wire edge. It can be folded one way or the other. Okay, so now I go back onto the waterstone on the back of the plane iron, because obviously I've just created a coarser grind on the back. So now I'm just going to go like so. And I'm not damaging the waterstone now. Otherwise I'd have been at risk of scratching it with the burr. There's no way you can remove the burr. You can actually just use the end grain here, and as you do that, and that'll peel the burr off. It doesn't always work, there's anything. So I don't tend to do it that way. Okay, and then I'm going to do the bit more water on there, remove the yuck. Bit more water, and now I'm going to use this rule, place it on there, which literally just adds about 1/2 millimetre, 32nd of an inch, say, so to speak, on that edge. And I'm going to apply the plane iron like so, down on its back, like so. That guarantees that we're not relying on the flat of the back of the actual plane iron. We're creating a new flat. That's very, very slight angle. You don't have to do it this way if you don't want to. It's just how I tend to do it. And sometimes I'll use diamond stones if I feel in the mood. I'm not using honing guide at this stage. I haven't got much hair left on my hands to actually shave. It was clean close. Ooh, ouch. Right. The finer the stone that you're using, the finer the burr that you'll get on the back. I'm just making sure, maintaining that round. That wire edge, effectively, that'll create a blunt edge if not careful. So it'll fold around the sharp part of the actual plane iron. I'm just hoping I've got enough radius. Now, I'm not editing this video, so it will be quite long. And this doesn't have to take this long. You get to a point where you just go for it, and and this is from the grind, remember, we've done it from the primary grind. We're not just refreshing the edge. We've created a new edge. Oh, that stage no. But now I'm going to strop it on my hand. You go down and up, like so. Never that way, for obvious reasons, because it hurts. And you get cut. Not a great idea. Yep, I shaved my hand. Got no hair left at this rate. I get a nice polish on it now. You can increase the polish if you want on the edge by using some paste on a strop like so. What happens over a period of time, these become loaded. All right, so yeah, they become loaded with actual grit. So you get to a point where you won't really need to be putting any on there for a while. I've got to mount this in a block, on the block really, to keep it flat. That's what I normally do. Sort of moved all my sharpening stuff about at the moment. So about, you've got to apply a fair amount of pressure. Oh God, yeah, it's getting sharp now. Yep, so that's pretty much there. Wouldn't be embarrassing if I sliced myself. All right, we've got to the stage. I'm happy that's sharp enough now. All right. So now we've got to put it back into the Stanley Bailey hand plane. I know you can't see my head, but I think actually seeing the tools might be more important than my head. All right, let's cover these up. I'm getting a bit of an untidy mess here. But that's me all over there. I'm terrible at that. I'm the most disorganised. Well, actually, I'm a very organised person, but I'm not when I'm actually working. So we've got our little Stanley Bailey plane here. We've got our chip breaker here. Now, what you don't want to do is this. For start, don't put it upside down for a start, like I just did. You don't want to do that way because it just damages your edge. So what you do is you put it on sideways, all right, like so. Push along, like so. Across, like so. And I tend to go around between 1 and 3 millimeters from the edge. 1.5 is about the sweet. 16th inch is like the sweet spot. If you go too close, it'll just jam up on you with shavings. If you go too far away, it ain't going to do its job. Yeah, the idea is breaking the chip as it's peeled off the wood, so it creates that curl. Otherwise, it won't. And then you'll just get a long, splintered finish. Yeah, if you don't break the chip, what happens? It tries to follow the grain when you're making the shaving, and then it just doesn't work properly. Maybe I'll do a video about that so I can explain it properly. All right, so you've got to be very careful when we put the plane iron into the plane itself with the chip breaker assembly. Make sure it's sitting on the frog nicely, and the lateral lever actually does something. If it's not doing something, it's not sitting properly on the actual bed or the lateral lever. So if that's bedded in, like that's fine. And grab your lever cap or screw cap, whatever one you got. Don't have this too tight. All right. Otherwise, you want me to adjust the plane arm with it done up. So it just needs to be just so, just like that. That's enough. Okay. We're not trying to squeeze the hell out of it. And at the moment, the plane iron is protruding through the bottom of the plane itself. I'm looking at this plane. It's probably do a bit of refurbishment now. And then we can play with the screw a little bit. I'm going to place it there for a second. And we've got a piece of wood here. Got a piece of oak. And this piece of oak, I'm going to press against a stop over here. And let's move all this stuff out of the way. Like I say, I'm not editing this video. So let's move that out of the way for there. Now I'm going to bring you around so you can see what is going on. Right. Alright, there you go. So, that is a piece of old oak. A bit more like that, there you go. A piece of old oak. I clamped in the vise a little stop, like a dog. Alright, now, and I'm on these rubber mats. Now these mats, they do help prevent a little bit of slippage, you see. And these are wash machine acoustic mats. Now, I tend to quite like this idea. Now, there was a 2-foot square, or 600 by 600, and I cut down the middle. And I can use these if I'm doing like a routing along length, one on one end, one on the other end, and I'll just place my piece of wood on, if it's like 2 meters long or something, and it doesn't move about. I don't have to clamp it. Which usually clamps get in the way sometimes when you're actually trying to do your work. Now, when you first start off, All right, we just sharpen this up. You have to see whether or not it'll slide backwards and forwards. But before we do anything on this, we want to make sure we've lubed our tool. And I tend just to use a bit of candle wax, a bit of paraffin wax on the sole. You could use a PTF spray, like a dry spray if you like. Either way, they all lubricate it, you know. Just be careful if you're using wax or anything like that on when you're doing jointing work, because you're effectively creating a release agent. So it should slide backwards and forwards, no problems whatsoever. Engage the plane iron, down we go, and you'll should start feeling it engage at some point. At some point, it will in a moment, promise you. Now it's starting to engage. There, telltale sign. I'm going to bring you a lot closer just so you can see what's happening, because I think it's quite important to understand the principle. Now we're coming down here. If you look here into the mouth of the plane, let's have a look, see whether or not you can actually see. Yeah, so we're looking down into the mouth of the plane, and what we're going to do is, you see that that's not the full width of the plane iron, is it? No, it's just the middle portion of the plane iron, and that is what we need. Otherwise, these corners, that one and that one, are digging. So hopefully, I've got this right. So let's see what happens. You can see what's happening there. The skew is wrong at the moment. This side is engaging more than that side. So we need to alter that a little bit by screwing the plane iron just a touch, because we want that to be coming out of the middle of the plane iron. And we have got a nice curve. It's not too much, it's just enough. So we come forwards again, let's have a look. And now it's near the middle, maybe not quite enough. So then you go a little more that way. Now you notice my lateral lever is quite a way over just to try and get this plane iron level. That's probably because I can see what I've done wrong. The chip breaker, which is part here, is overhanging this side of the plane iron, but on this side of the plane iron it is not. In fact, it's in a little bit, so I'm having to apply more lateral lever to the right to get the plane iron level. It doesn't matter, you know, end of the day, as long as that's correct. In the day, this is perfect. You see, these shavings are narrower than the actual, and they're thinner on the edges, which is good, than they are in the middle. So it's actually doing what I want it to do. I don't want full width shavings. If I'm taking a thin shaving like this, it should be from the say 2/3 or 3/4 of the middle engaging, because we don't want those corners digging in and creating furrows. So there we go. Remember to remove the shavings every time we do it, otherwise you'll get that. Let's move further back now, so you can see. Alright, there you go. I'm not going to edit this video, so it is long, so I do apologise for that, but that's life, isn't it? That is lovely and sharp. So they're getting wider now, so I'm starting to flatten the board, but they're still thinner. They're feathering on the edges, which is what we want. Oh god, yeah, that's lovely. So when I come to levelling a table top that I've glued up, or just a board, because the board's wider than the plane iron, we won't have a situation where we created like nasty corners digging in, you know, in the finish. Now this piece of the oak chestnut, there might be old chestnut, actually came off the roof. It's what they call the valise. It's the board which goes underneath the tiles here in France. So that's lovely. Now if you've got levelling a board, you'll be going that way, then you'll be going that way, and then you'll go along. But whatever you do, you want to be going with the grain, in the sense of the, can't really see it that well here because there's, you know, there's a ruffle edge. You can see what it's like on the back side. So you don't want to take it, ooh, there's a hole with a bit of wood. No, it's not. So this grain here on this piece of wood is going that way. So I'm planing in that direction. So anyway, that is, as I get down again, that, oh crikey, they got my goodies. that is how I'd sharpen a smoothing plane. I wouldn't sharpen a smoothing plane the same way that I would do if I was sharpening a number 7. No, because for smoothing, it's not for jointing, it's not a 4-plane, no, it's not even a jack plane. Although a jack plane, which is slightly longer than number 5, is slightly longer than this number 4, could also be sharpened in the same way, but bear in mind, you wouldn't necessarily want that if you're going to be using the number 5 for jointing, because you obviously want your joints to be true and perfectly flat, although there's very little in it, even with this, you see. So anyway, while you're here, please boot the old like button and maybe subscribe to the channel, even though it's a very long video, but hey-ho, say the V. Anyway, so that is how I sharpen my Stanley Bailey number 4 smoothing plane. And like I say, boot the like button, subscribe to the channel. Remember all this stuff now. Crikey, we've got a Patreon as well. If you join our Patreon, links are down below. And yeah, so I think I'm going to say toodaloo, you know. Blimey, all this talk, it gives you a dry throat, you know, a day. Crikey. Oh, I need a lubricant, I do. Toodaloo.